Hey guys, welcome back. Luca here, and today we will talk about why you shouldn't be a software engineer. The first reason is definitely barriers of entrance. In order to become a software engineer, it requires a lot of study and irrelevant knowledge. Let's be real, most of the interview questions doesn't really reflect how you would do on the job. But in order to get that job, you still have to spend a lot of times. And based on a study, it shows on average people spend about 4 to 8 weeks preparing for a software engineering interview. That's literally like studying for grad school. And to most people who doesn't like to study, this could be a very hard thing to achieve. And just think about how you have to go home after a long days of work and now you have to do some more studying. If you're already coding during the day, now you have to spend more time using your brain, and that could be exhausting and prevent a lot of people from getting into software engineering. That's one of the biggest reasons why I think getting into software engineering may not be worth it for everyone. Number two. The second reason is more about the amount of work you're expected to do. Tech companies are known to have a very high burnout rate. And based on a recent study, it shows almost 70% of relevant employees that works in the software engineering field report at least one time that they experience some sort of burnout on a project. If you are in a software engineering field, you can expect to work on very challenging problem that takes a lot of time and you might feel very drained. And in the software engineering industry, you're always expected to do more and bigger, more complex problem as you grow into the more senior role. So the burnout only worsens as time goes on. And in most cases, it's not very easy to just cruise around. And this means the potential for burnout. And burnout is not a very good feeling. I myself experienced a burnout during one of my team projects. The deadline is very strict. We had to work very long hours to make sure all the launch is ready. And feeling burnout just makes you feel really bad, like you feel a type of exhaustion, like your brain can't really think straight. Yeah, like just imagine I only been in the field for a few years and it only becomes worse as you become more senior. So that's the second reason why you shouldn't become a software engineer. And now, moving forward, you just learned so much and you had to work so much. But then again, your skill may suddenly become irrelevant. So one thing you have to be very comfortable with in software engineering is continuous learning. To many people who doesn't like to learn new things or try new things, this could be a very dramatic difference. In software, you always have to think about what is that next language that people will be start using soon. You might be migrating from an older technology to a newer one. You might have Java, let's say, suddenly people are using Kotlin. And you might have a new version that's coming up that completely changed some of the design, some of the system metrics. You might come up with new ways of doing certain graph problems, traversal problems, and suddenly you have to learn everything from scratch again. For example, if you're doing very specific, like machine learning, AI, suddenly there might be a better library that you have to use. And if you are someone who doesn't or not very comfortable with switching gear very fast or continuously learning new languages, being a software engineer may not be the ideal role for you. If you are someone who likes to learn, this might not be as bad. But then if you think about it, if you are in one field that you don't really like and you want to pivot into another software field, for example, you're going from full stack to mobile, there's again a huge change in the type of technology that you will most likely be doing. Sure, like the backend might be a little similar, but the client side is very different. And then again, switching from data science or like cybersecurity, it requires very niched knowledge that you have to be willing to learn from scratch. So yeah, software engineering is all about being a beginner. At all times, always be eager to learn. And that might be a reason why most people don't want to get into software engineering. And the last one I think is pretty important. It's salary growth. Most people might be like, oh, software engineer already getting paid a lot. On average, they make about 100K. But once you get into the job, your salary growth actually slow down dramatically. Most of the software engineers that they either give you paper money, meaning some sort of stock that you can't even cash out, or stock that may not do well. So like at the end of the day, like it eat into your total compensation performance because company weigh in on the fact that they believe their company will do well. But that may not always be the case. And all they most likely giving you is year to year 3% inflation adjustment. And you don't really get a huge salary pay pump even if you get promoted. So in reality, at the end of the day, the best way for a software engineer to increase their total compensation is actually to switch roles. And in order to switch roles, you have to going back to the first bullet point, which is barrier of entrance. Now you have to study for these harder interviews, and because you become more seniors, they might ask you more than just coding questions. They might ask you system design. They might expect more from you, and the coding challenge becomes more of a challenge, and you require more times of preparation that you have to do on top of the work that you might already be doing. It's just like a never-ending cycle. Like, why do I have to bounce if I really like my job? But if you look around people who just join your company with less experience than you, they might already be making more than you just because they have a more colorful background. So it kind of forces you to always be moving around all the move. Again, continuous learning, learning about irrelevant interviewing preparations. So it may not be worth it for most people. So yeah, those are the biggest reason why I think you shouldn't do software engineering. Is the total compensation really worth it? The amount of time that you might have to put in on the job? In my experience, a lot of times, sure, you might not work all 40 hours, but there are also cases where I hear horror stories where people have to work 60 to 80-hour weeks. And is it really justified for the amount of money you're getting paid? Is it really worth the time that you put into studying for that dream job that you don't really know what you will be doing on the job? So like, there are a lot of risk factors, and you constantly compare with other people that you might force yourself to always learn and grow, and what do you get at the end of the day? Burnout. So yeah, be very careful if you do decide to become a software engineer. Alright, thank you for watching, guys. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you guys next time.